Well, the inevitable has actually come to fruition. Caleb Cunningham has flipped to Ole Miss.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Just a live episode really quickly to discuss the flip of Caleb Cunningham. Look, you knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming. Doesn't make it hurt any less. This is a blow. And I hate it. And look, there are going to be some folks that say, oh, if you're not wearing crimson, I get it. And if, that is true. And this class isn't make or break due to Caleb Cunningham. There's no doubt about that. But he's a fantastic player. And I certainly would love to have him in this class. In the end, some of those Mississippi kids are tough to get out of Mississippi on occasion. So not the end of the world. Let's not go crazy. But it is something that will affect Alabama's class, probably affect the ranking when you lose a 5-star. There's no doubt about it. They may drop to number 2. They may. I don't think that it's been calculated yet. So, and again, the number 1 versus the number 2 class is not a huge gap there. And Alabama will get somebody, and I think eventually Alabama will flip Ivan Taylor. Look, Hayes Fawcett put it out there that there will be a lot of flips coming this week and this month. And, Caleb Cunningham's probably the first of a few. I would suspect it's not going to be done. I suspect Dawson Merritt will flip to Nebraska, and I suspect Turbo Rogers will flip to somewhere. And then Alabama will flip Ivan Taylor. And then Alabama will flip one of the running backs that's committed to either Michigan State or to USC. It wouldn't shock me at all if Alabama flipped somebody else, even from Auburn or Tennessee or Mississippi or anywhere, LSU. I think we're going to see a lot of folks just moving and swapping around. That's the way it's going to be now. And the other thing is, who knows, when you miss out on somebody in recruiting now, high school recruiting or junior college, then what that means is you may ramp up the pursuit of somebody that's in the portal, and you may do it before they actually get in the portal. I'm not saying Alabama's going to do that, but I think we'd all be naive to think that Alabama and everybody else isn't doing that. I guarantee you some Alabama's players are having their phones blown up. Hugh Freeze said it about Auburn the other day, that he said, look, we know that there are folks out there trying to, capitalize on our bad season. That's not verbatim what he said, but it's essentially what he said. Just going back to Caleb Cunningham for a second, I'm hopefully going to see if the calculations will come up that will tell us where this drops Alabama's class, because Alabama has officially moved to number 2 now. I just refreshed it, and they go from number 1 to number 2. Ohio State jumps back up to number 1. Even though Ohio State only has 3 5-stars, Alabama's got 4. Ohio State 19 4-stars, Alabama 13, and Ohio State 3 stars and Alabama 5. Of course, Ohio State has 26 commits and Alabama has 22 commits. The star ranking average, though, remains 92.09 for both of the teams, and it's right there with Georgia, which is 92.11. So, again, this is a blow. It hurts. You wish it wouldn't happen. But if you're an Ole Miss recruit, if you're a receiver and you're especially in Mississippi, then you can't help but look and see what Lane Kiffin is doing and say, okay, I like what they're doing too, in terms of getting the ball to their receivers. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I don't think it should be like everybody clutching their pearls or caught off guard or anything. It's when Hayes Fawcett and some other folks like Steve Wilfong are starting to predict that some of these players will go somewhere, better listen. These guys have a good track record. So it is what it is. Now, when it comes to Alabama and what are they going to do for the future at that recruiting position, well, Nashawn Montgomery is a guy that is committed to Florida, very good player out of Florida. He will be visiting, I believe, this weekend. That could be somebody that's on Alabama's radar. Look, here's the deal. Also, Lotsier Brooks is a dude. He is really climbing the charts. I mean, he is racing up the charts in terms of wide receiver rankings. And if you hadn't watched any of his games, and they do a great job of Bama Online of putting these games out there for Lotsier Brooks for his team in New Jersey, then man, he's a scoring machine. He's a dude's dude. I mean, he's not Ryan Williams, but there are very few Ryan Williamses, period. I don't think Caleb Cunningham is Ryan Williams. So if you ask me, okay, we got Lotsier Brooks and that's it, I'm fine with that receiver class, given who should be coming back in Ryan Williams, in Kendrick Law, in Kobe Prentice, in Emmanuel Henderson. And then you also got to consider the potential for getting somebody out of the portal. And a lot of folks are saying that next man up in the comments right now. And I'm right there with you. Alabama will find another guy, says A.J. Evans. I'm right there with you. Bill Robertson says, if you don't want to be here, that's more than okay. We'll be just fine. Best of luck to him. It's still Ole Miss. That is very true. I would say to Bill, though, this, and again, this isn't me my arguing with you, but there's a very, very good chance Ole Miss makes this college football playoff with Alabama this year. I think both of them make it. Both of them were projected to be in it last night. So it's not as crazy as it once seemed. When Hugh Freeze was getting these dudes, and he was getting them not necessarily from Mississippi, he was getting them from Michigan and Illinois and wherever. I mean, we all knew something nefarious was going on. When Lane Kiffin is getting these guys now, Lane Kiffin is going on his reputation of making Amari Cooper a superstar. Now, Amari probably would have been a superstar with anybody, but making Blake Sims a superstar, making Calvin Ridley look fantastic over and over again, making Jalen Hurts look good over and over again. I mean, and the wide receivers that correspond with those guys. So I think that it's okay to say Lane Kiffin's got a much better track record than people want to give him credit for putting wide receivers in the league. Again, I don't think this is the same Ole Miss that was you were dealing with Hugh Freeze. You look back at Freeze, and he only had, he gets a lot of credit for A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf. He only had them for 1 year. Lane Kiffin proved it over and over and over again. He made wide receivers really, really good. A lot of those guys are in the pros still now doing very well. And it is flip season. It's going to happen. Alabama's going to lose some folks. They're going to get some folks. I mean, everybody's predicting Alabama to get Ivan Taylor right now, right? The bigger need, 100%, is Ivan Taylor at safety over Caleb Cunningham at wide receiver. I would love to have them both. I'm not sitting here telling you this is something that I'm super okay with. I'm just telling you that it's not as big of a deal as some people are going to make it when they say, oh, you lost a 5-star. That's true, 100%. I'd much rather have it. But at the same time, if you told me I have to make a decision between Cunningham and Ivan Taylor, Cunningham, even though he's a 5-star, ranked mostly in the national 20s, and Ivan Taylor ranked mostly around the national 50s, I probably would take Ivan Taylor because I think that's the bigger need for Alabama. So, and it's not necessarily that I'd love to do either or. I'm just telling you if those two choices were my choices. And somebody did say, going to be funny when Lane leaves for a better job. Look, I've heard all the rumors. I've heard the rumors about Lane and New Orleans, the Saints. It wouldn't shock me at all if Lane went somewhere else. You've all heard the rumors about Lane Kiffin in Florida, which is ironic because I'm here to tell you right now in 2 weeks, I think Florida is going to give Ole Miss everything they want in that game. Ole Miss has a week off. They're going to celebrate what they just did this past weekend in beating Georgia. And I think they go into Florida, and I think Florida gives them everything they want with DJ Lagway. If Lagway plays, I should add that. Todd Tipton says, this is Caleb Cunningham's loss. I mean, look, I'm with you on that. I think long-term, the better play for Caleb Cunningham is Alabama. What we don't know is what kind of NIL involvement there is here. And nobody needs to hate on anybody for that. I mean, it's just like a free agency anywhere else. Some people are going to overpay for a certain position because they want to get that particular win. right? They want to win that particular battle for that particular player to make a statement. And so I don't know this to be a fact, but if Ole Miss is paying more than Alabama in NIL or guaranteeing more, I get it because Ole Miss needs this win. It's a in-state guy who is he's very flashy, and they got a coach who's very flashy. And look, Bill Robinson then adds, how many SEC championships do Ole Miss have? I'm not here to argue Ole Miss is on the same caliber as Alabama. I'm here to argue that Ole Miss isn't as bad as they once were. That's all I'm saying. I think that it's sort of like, hey, I remember very vividly in the 80s when Oregon was so bad, nobody would go there. And then, they start getting a little better. In fact, I think they're the team that played when Penn State joined the Big Ten and went to the Rose Bowl. I think it was Oregon that played them, like in 92 or something like that. 93, 94, somewhere in there. And so what I'm saying is some of these programs have made moves. Oregon made a move. Ole Miss is making a move now. Will they sustain it? Let's see how long Lane stays there. If Lane were to get an offer from Florida, like some people think, if Lane were to get an offer from New Orleans, do I think he'd turn those down? No, I don't. I think that Florida is a much better job than Ole Miss. My point is just this: it's not as nuts. And conversely, do y'all remember in the late 2000s when Florida was winning everything all the time? Well, now they can't buy a victory, literally. So, these things can come in waves. And I still think Florida is a better program than Ole Miss. In this very moment right now, they aren't. Long term, I think they are. So, Brian Green says Lane will choke against team they are supposed to beat. Brian, that's another thing I'm telling you right now. I think Florida is going to give Ole Miss everything they want because that is the Ole Miss way. Just like in 2015, when Ole Miss, all they had to do was beat an Arkansas team at home that wasn't super good, and they couldn't do it. I know it got wonky and got crazy and weird things happened, but they couldn't do it. And I'll still maintain they had 2 other games left that year, and I can't remember who they were against. I maintain they would have lost one of those because they would find a way to not make it to the SEC title game. But doing something like this, like getting Caleb Cunningham and potentially making the college football playoff. Again, if they lose to Florida, like I'm not predicting it, I'm just saying it could be a thing. If they go to the college football playoff this year, they get Caleb Cunningham and Lane does stay. Okay, that's something that can really get the program going. Now, again, where does this leave Alabama? I mean, do they circle back to Derek Smith, who's committed to Auburn, who was once committed to Bama? And maybe Alabama makes more of a push in terms of playing him at wide receiver versus safety. Potentially, I don't feel super optimistic about that. I mean, they could make a play for him and his twin brother, Eric Smith, who is also projected to Auburn now. He's not committed yet, but a big, tall guy, probably not quite as skilled and talented as Derek, but a tall receiver. Could Alabama circle back there? Sure. I don't know that I would go anywhere near, hey, these guys are on flip watch, though. Let's not do that. Nashawn Montgomery coming in this weekend. This is a guy to keep an eye on. It wouldn't shock me at all if he were to flip from Florida to Alabama. And then Florida is the one in the hot seat again, right? So these flips are going to keep coming. I don't think anybody needs to panic. I wanted to go live with this because Caleb Cunningham he's probably the flashiest player that's committed to Alabama in this class. And frankly, he's been the one guy that has been saying, yeah, I'm locked in. I'm 100% locked in, but I'm going to go visit Auburn, but I'm going to go visit Ole Miss, but I'm going to go visit LSU, but I'm going to do this. Who's to say that he's even going to stick with Ole Miss? I know we only got like less than 3 weeks now to National Signing Day. Somebody may come in with a better offer, and who knows what's going to happen with him. I think he probably does sign with Ole Miss, and so be it. Again, I'm with everybody else here. Alabama still got the number 2 class. Ole Miss's class is, barely in the top 20. And I think eventually, I still think Alabama is going to win a lot more than Ole Miss is. But Ole Miss may have come in him with some things that Alabama couldn't. And I wouldn't trade our status as a program for Ole Miss's status, no matter what 5-star they get. So the other thing that's interesting is what will this do for Deuce Knight and, who's committed to Auburn now. Deuce Knight, he's maybe the most intriguing quarterback prospect out there this year. Super, super athletic, like freaky athletic, but very raw, according to everybody who judges these things, right? And what if he were to leave Auburn and go to Ole Miss? Wouldn't that change some things? Wouldn't that be interesting? I mean, and then just the whole Lane and Hugh and Ole Miss and Auburn dynamic going on there. I still maintain this, by the way. If you watch the podcast, you know this. I've said where the SEC screwed up more than anywhere is that they didn't schedule Ole Miss against Auburn this year. It's the dumbest thing they've ever done. But anyway, I got to get out of here because I'm about to go live on the radio in Montgomery. I appreciate you guys so much. Just wanted to come on here and say, hey, nobody jump ship. Everybody chill. It's going to be okay. And we will join you guys tomorrow. Until then, roll tide, everybody.